How are you, sir?
I'm well. I'm well. I am well. What up?
Awesome. Thank you for being here.
No,
We
thank
would
you.
we would like to welcome Mr. Ruben Bolaños, the Director of STEM and Technical Education of the Roswell Independent School District, as a candidate for the superintendent position for the Roswell Independent School District. Mr. Bolaños, you will have 10 minutes to share more about yourself and your interest in the role with the community. You will be given a 1-minute warning by Ms. Kirk before your time is up. Do you have any questions before you begin your introduction?
No, ma'am. Would you mind repeating one more time what you read to me? I'm
Yes,
sorry.
sir. You will have 10 minutes to share more about yourself and your interest in the role with the community. You will be given a 1-minute warning before your time is up.
Yes, ma'am. I'm ready.
Okay. And you may begin, sir.
Okay. Señora Presidente Morales, miembros del Junto Directiva, muy buenas tardes. Yo soy Rubén Bolaños y les doy las gracias por recibirme y poder hablar un poco de las destrezas y el liderazgo que yo tengo y mi involucración con la comunidad de Roswell. Y muy buenas tardes, las bienvenidas a todos los que nos estén acompañando sobre YouTube. Madam President Morales, members of the school board, good afternoon. My name is Ruben Bolaños. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to allow me to come in here and visit with you briefly, tell you a little bit about myself, and of course, as you said, the interest that we have within the community of Roswell. And I'd like to thank you and welcome anyone that's joining us through YouTube, especially in these times right now of COVID where we can't always just be present and probably have a little bit, something that's a little bit different. So, ladies and gentlemen, I have applied for the position of superintendent for this great school district and the Roswell Independent School District, the Roswell community. Let me tell you, I bring with myself 25 plus years of education experience. I started out in Hagerman and I have grown from that position. But just to tell you a little bit about myself, I grew up in Roswell. I went from Roswell, I went to Florida Vista Elementary, and I attended Sierra Middle School, and I graduated from Goddard High School. You know, like I said, I started working in the business 25 plus years ago. Everything started from a bilingual elementary teacher and worked my way through so I could, work in it as a secondary history and Spanish as a foreign language and language arts teacher at Goddard High School for 10 years. I went to be an assistant principal at Roswell High School and went to be principal at Mesa Middle School. And I went back to Roswell High School as a principal there for a few years, and about a decade to be exactly. And joyous times. I am now currently serving in the role of STEM and career technical education director, working in this capacity has really been a really neat experience on what we want to do and what we have to do with our community and for allowing our students to have those opportunities. And so one of the things that's important to me is I value education regardless of the socioeconomic status that a student comes from. They come from varied backgrounds. And so in their life, I think that education is key. And I say that because when we ask ourselves, what does a Roswell Independent School District education look like? Well, for many of our students, they might be the first in their family to successfully complete a high school diploma or successfully complete high school and earn that high school diploma. So like always, the things that's important to me, the very things that were important growing up, our goal is to educate our students so that they can compete at a global level. We need them to be prepared to attend any university, regardless of their choice. Any university of their choice, we need to prepare them so they can be there. Whether it's in school like Harvard, whether it's Stanford, Eastern New Mexico, UNM, New Mexico State, all of our local New Mexico schools or the schools in the region, what we want to make sure that we don't have is that education is a disqualifier for them. So, those are some of the things that we need to be cognizant of and realize that education comes in many different forms, and so, but in our ISD education, as it has been for many and continues to be so, it's something that's gonna give our students hope. It's gonna give hope for the future, for them, for afterwards. And for some of those students, as we know, it could be a traditional four-year degree, or it could be something that they're going for in a technical or a trade school. It could be a computer school, something to do with coding or becoming a nurse, barber, or welder, regardless, or any other honorable way of making a living. What we want to do is make sure that we're working hard to make sure that they're prepared for that. And nonetheless, for our high school students, we need to provide them that opportunity so that they can provide for their families. And I think one of the things we talk about at the community is, after our graduates have graduated from college and are in the workforce, what we want them to do is to return home and give Roswell an opportunity to provide for them. My family is proof of that. My father, Ruben, and my mother, Josie, they instilled in us a sense of community, family, and work ethic. And education was key to that better life. I'm evidence of that expectation that we have for our kids and the help of people. You don't get to where you're at by yourself. Somebody has to help you. That's what we need to do for our kids. That's what our community needs to help us do for our kids. And I'm the first to graduate from college with a bachelor's and a master's degree, and I came back to serve my community. I was excited about that, and some of my siblings have followed suit, and other relatives. Education is important to us. Is education important in our family? And so it's something that we believe in, and we want to give back. And we're involved by either being teachers, coaching, in our local communities, and being involved with that. I've learned several lessons along the way that I think I can help relate with our students, and they carry over to life. And one of the main lessons, of course, for me has been you never give up. You don't give up regardless of what happens. And I sit here before you, and I've had to persevere and overcome adversity. Every day for the last 5 years, I've had to overcome and just keep on keeping on. And, my family provides me that inspiration, friends, colleagues, everything from an encouraging word to a hug to a text that says, hey, it's going to be okay. Those are the same things that we need to do with our children. Those are the same things that we need to do to help them understand that, hey, there's going to be some tough days, but we're gonna be okay. We're going to persevere. And so while I've inspired students, they've inspired me as well. And one thing is we got to tell students that anything's possible when overcoming obstacles, but they need a little bit of help. They need some support in regards to some of those things that we need to do. We need to learn to teach them that they need to work together, that everyone has a story and everyone has a cross to bear. We need to treat people with respect and with dignity, and those are some of the things that we have in this district. We have administrators and principals and teachers, and we have staff that do believe that, and they do that every well. And one of the things that my dad taught me, and those of you guys that have maybe had an opportunity to know, is it doesn't matter how educated, how talented, how rich that I might think that I am. At the end of it, how we treat people, that ultimately tells all. Integrity is everything, and treating people with dignity and respect is as well. And those are some of the things that kind of help out. And I try to live by the convictions of God, family, and commitment. And that's a tripod. That's a tripod that some days it's going to be one before the other, or the other before the other two. So that's just one of those things that's important to me. I will, again, I said thank you for the opportunity. I will elaborate a little bit more on what my vision is and stuff, but just briefly, I look forward to working with you, the board, and setting a vision, goals, and objectives, for our district, for our kids. and see to it that those goals are achieved, you know, and I think that I'm a communicator, well communicator. I addressed you in 2 of our many languages in Roswell, but they're the most commonly used. And I know that the most important job of the school district is to make sure that our students are learning and achieving at high levels. And that's a continued deal that we need to work on. Knowledgeable on those best practices and maximizing student achievement, and very supportive of our teachers and our district staff. And I think that that's important to reiterate, that we have good people in place, and I look forward to working with them. I enjoy working with them now, and I think that having those people in there is going to be key to know that that's what our goals and that's what our vision is. I know that a good friend of mine told me one time that, you know, leadership is a duty, you know, and that duty is to help out and try to serve others. And I look forward to that opportunity. Once again, 10 minutes is really quick, and I could have used about another 30, but I thank you for the opportunity. And you guys have a great day. Roswell, good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bolaños. Thank you. Good afternoon. We would like to welcome Mr. Curtis Clough, Associate Superintendent for Silver Consolidated School District, as a candidate for the superintendent position for the Roswell Independent School District. Mr. Clough, you will have 10 minutes to share more about yourself and your interest in the role with the community. You will be given a 1-minute warning before your time is up. Do you have any questions before you begin your introduction?
No, President.
Okay, you may begin, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. Good afternoon, Roswell community. First, I am honored to be considered for the superintendent position of Roswell Independent School District because to me, this is a destination district. I am currently the Associate Superintendent of Silver Consolidated Schools and look forward to getting to know me in the next few minutes. I used to jokingly say there was nothing I have done in school district except lunch lady or bus driver, and the COVID-19 pandemic has allowed me to check those off the list as my district had to adapt and change to meet the needs of students and families. With 31 years of experience in public education and with 21 years in administration in K-12 higher education at the state level as the current technical education director for the state of Alaska, I believe my experience has fully prepared me to be the district community leader that Roswell seeks in the next superintendent. First and foremost, I would not be here without the number of people that have supported me throughout my career and my staffs that have worked for me. But jokingly, I also say I only have 10 minutes, so I will not go into all the people and recognize them at all this time, but I'm thankful for the opportunities I've had throughout my career that prepared me for this position. I am successful because the people that I have led and been involved with have been successful. Again, I am honored to be considered for this very important leadership position in your schools and communities and believe my skills, knowledge, and abilities align nicely to what the Roswell community is seeking for their students, community, and staff. My success has come from those that have invested time and energy in me, as well as those that I have mentored and led throughout my career. One of my primary focuses throughout my life has been to invest time and talent and resources to add value to people and organizations. And I also have a unique ability to work across the spectrum with education, community leaders, workforce and economic development entities, as well as local, regional, and state government leaders. Priorities are identified, work together as a community for the betterment and advancement of the community as a whole, especially for our students and families. Again, my achievements and recognitions come from the success of those that I've led. And I want to give back to the next generation of our educators and students so Roswell fulfills the responsibility of making our students lifelong learners, explorers of their passions and goals in life. I do not need individual recognition to validate my career, but I do want all our students and staff to be the best version of themselves. Hope that I have a little impact on achieving that and for each and every person in our school and community and organization if I become the next superintendent of Roswell Schools. In my current responsibilities, I oversee curriculum and instruction, professional development and training, federal programs, career and technical education, special education, and the operations of food service, maintenance and grounds, technology, and human resources. As you can tell, I have a diverse background in education, have a unique perspective on seeing how an organization and school district can improve. And as an educational leader, I believe I have all the necessary skills and abilities to make sure our students achieve at their highest levels while providing quality services and instruction to everybody in our organization. I am committed to developing a quality teaching staff, supporting the administrative staff while hiring the best and brightest people focused on the development of the whole child. Achieving the impossible in today's educational world has been proven because of COVID. Innovation has been the center of education for the last 16 months, and schools have led the way in many communities. Education has been changed post-pandemic with the innovation that has come from schools, and schools being the central focus of many neighborhood activities. Schools have developed resiliency and been able to adapt and change to meet community needs. They have served as food hubs, medical, mental health, physical health centers, as well as the parent support hubs for technology and remote learning. Being one that's used technology quite a bit, I can tell you our parents learned quite a bit in Silver of how to use technology during education during the pandemic. And also, it's also increased academic access for all, regardless of ethnicity or socioeconomic background. COVID has given us the opportunity to be able to innovate and provide for our families. That will be one of my primary goals as superintendent, is to make sure we provide the necessary supports to our students and families recover from the pandemic in this trying economic times. We will need to continue to be the lifeline and support to our families to be active participants for their sons and daughters' educations. Further, several people have asked me, why Roswell? I say, why not? I applied for this position several years ago because I believe my knowledge, skills, and ability fit what the community and schools were looking for in a leader as a superintendent. Unfortunately, I was only in New Mexico for a year at that time, so I was not recognized across the state quite often. But now, I've been here 4 years in this state and understand what it is like to be an educational leader in New Mexico. I've just recently been appointed to New Mexico Association of Career and Technical Education Executive Board, and I've also been very active in my community with community support and workforce and economic development. To me and my wife, Roswell is a destination district for me and her because we have 8 to 10 years left in our educational careers, and I think I can provide the stability necessary for this district to achieve great things. It is a premier district that deserves the best, and I believe I can provide the best for them. We will become active citizens in the community and not just a resident. We'll be involved in community endeavors. You'll see me out at the football games. You'll see me at the basketball games. You'll see me at the plays. You'll see my wife with me too, because I leave her at home. I do not want to go home after those nights because she enjoys that just as much as I do. I believe I'm the right person to make a difference for this school and community. With my varied experiences in education at all levels, as well as my background in workforce and economic development, where we can tie career training for our kids to direct employment or jobs after high school, or transition into training apprenticeship programs or into college if they so desire. Throughout my career, I've committed my time and talents to providing communities and improving communities the resources necessary for our people to be successful, and developing the necessary relationships to advance the district goals in alignment with what community needs are. In my current position, I'm also a grant writer. So in the last 3 years as the Associate Superintendent at Silver, we've been able to bring in close to $2 million in additional money as we come in, including the installment of a $150,000 multimedia lab and professional development training for our grades 5 through 8 for our STEAM program. We also are currently working with HMS to provide additional health services in our clinic hours for the student-based clinics. And I was also a critical part in developing the Grant County Workforce and Economic Development Alliance, a 13-partner collaborative that bought a $500,000 3-year grant from the Economic Development Alliance to work on training not only our students, but our parents and dislocated workers for our county. Without my leadership and those of my partners, this never would have came about. The community adapted to me real quickly, realizing I was going to take no for answers because it was best for our community. And if you call people in Silver, you call people in Grant County, it was the school district to help lead this initiative. I would like to mirror that same thing for Roswell and Chavez County because I believe it's important that we connect our parents and our students to quality educational training so they can be employed. As said earlier, I was just recently appointed to New Mexico Executive Board for Career and Technical Education, and I'm the chair of the administrative division. I am also the president of Grant County Prospectors, a legislative advocacy group. I'm also the vice president of the Workforce Alliance I had mentioned earlier, and also vice president of the Grant County Chamber of Alliance. And I have past positions serving as the Alaska Workforce Investment Board member and co-chair of the Alaska State CTE Plan and the co-chair of the National Rural and CTE Frontier Initiative across the country. You can expect the same type of commitment and dedication to our students, staff, and community because as a superintendent, I accept the responsibility to make a difference for the betterment of our community, our schools, and most importantly, our students and staff. District and community engagement is critical in today's educational world. We need to activate all stakeholders in a positive dialogue so we can improve our schools and our community. I believe through my past record with Silver and in others at the state of Alaska and as a superintendent in Ohio, I've been able to do that. You need to have a strategic vision and goal for your students of where you want them to be and where you want them to go because we are training kids for jobs that currently don't exist. The Department of Labor statistics shows that now our students will be changing careers 10 to 13 times in their life, and we are training them for jobs in 2032 that currently exist. That current number is about 20 million, according to the Department of Labor guesstimation. We can all laugh at that, but think about when we were younger and we didn't know what web design was when I was in school. High quality education and pathways are a must, and we need to meet their individual passion and goals. School district will be active partners with the parents and stakeholders so Roswell and the school district can be the best district it can be in the state. I'm going to close with this statement. If I am chosen a candidate to be the next superintendent of Roswell Independent School District, you will receive a passionate, dedicated career educator that believes all students can be successful regardless of socioeconomic status, ethnicity, or family status. And I will work tirelessly to be the chief advocate for our schools, our students, our staff, and community. Accepting the status quo in today's educational world is unacceptable, and making innovations to allow students and staff to be creative and experiential is necessary so our students can be successful upon graduation. If the community is looking for an individual with the passion and commitment to dream the impossible, I would be honored to serve the next district and community leader for Roswell Independent School District and call Chavez County and Roswell my home. Our home, so we strive together to be the best district and educational experience for our students, families, and our community that we can be. Thank you for this opportunity to speak.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, sir.
Have a great afternoon.
Thank you.
Now you can exhale.
Anybody got a recommend?
first beer is passing out.
We would like to welcome Ms. Jennifer Cole, Assistant Superintendent of Instruction and Curriculum for the Roswell Independent School District, as a candidate for the superintendent position for the Roswell Independent School District. Mrs. Cole, you will have 10 minutes to share more about yourself and your interest in the role with the community. You will be given a 1-minute warning before your time is up. Do you have any questions before you begin your introduction?
No, ma'am.
Okay, you may begin. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jennifer Cole, and thank you, President Morales and members of the board, for allowing me the opportunity to be here this afternoon. I'm a lifelong resident of Roswell. I was born and raised here, third generation on both sides of my family. My grandparents, I had one set of grandparents that lived on East Pear and another set that lived on Eldora. And so I spent a lot of time in my childhood back and forth between those two houses. One of my favorite memories was walking to Peppermint Park with my grandfather. I learned a lot. I mention my grandparents because I learned a lot about work and work ethic from my grandparents and from my parents. My grandmother is a retired cafeteria worker. She retired from the Roswell schools after more than 30 years of service. My grandfather was a milkman, and when I was in kindergarten at Edgewood Elementary, one of my favorite memories was getting to see my grandfather at recess time delivering the milk. My mom retired from ENMUR after more than 30 years, and my dad is a veteran, and he's still working at a local hardware store. This is my 25th year in education. I started my career as a kindergarten teacher. I taught kindergarten and first grade. Then I moved to Mountain View Middle School, where I taught 7th and 8th grade language arts. I was a reading coach. I was a dean of students. I accepted a position at Mesa Middle School as assistant principal in 2008, and then I took over as principal in 2009, and I served as principal at Mesa for 8 years. Those were truly some of the best years of my career. I loved the school, and I loved the students. While I was there, we used data to improve our classroom systems and our systems throughout the school. We did lots of work around stakeholder engagement. We had in LASE, we had a Family Leadership Institute. We had the Enlace Health Fair, which was a huge community event in that area. We implemented a student health advisory council. We had the school-based health center. We implemented a student ambassador program. We implemented teen leadership and capturing kids' hearts. We had a reading program that was a nationally recognized reading program for student improvement. Because of the improvements that we made throughout the school, and when I took over at Mesa, it was a corrective action school. It was in danger of being taken over by the state. And because of the improvements that we were able to make systemically and systematically, my leadership team and I were asked to present at the National Quality Education Conference in 2012. I left Mesa in 2016 and went to work at Sidney Gutierrez Charter School. Sidney is one of the highest performing charter schools in New Mexico, and I had the opportunity to work with an exceptional staff there. And then I left in 2017 when I accepted the federal programs position for the Roswell School District. During my first year as federal programs director, I increased our federal budget by $5 million by applying for and receiving some highly competitive federal grants. Through that funding, we've been able to improve our school safety infrastructure. We've been able to improve our partnerships and expand our partnerships with some nonprofits throughout the community, especially with work around social emotional learning and working with our at-risk learners in alternative education settings. We used the funding to build infrastructure around STEM and CTE. So we purchased materials and supplies for aerospace engineering and robotics and clean air and energy and many other initiatives. And then we received the Striving Readers Literacy Grant. That was a $5 million grant over a 3-year period. We've partnered with our hospitals to implement books for newborns. We purchased structured literacy, a much needed phonics type program for our elementary schools. We purchased a reading intervention program for our high schools, lots of professional development and continued ongoing work through that funding initiative. We also underwent the largest pre-K expansion in the district's history. When I started as federal programs director, we had about 180 spaces for pre-K, and we expanded that to over 400 spaces for pre-K students. I also served on the Public Education Department State Advisory Committee for Early Childhood Education. At the community level, I serve on several boards. I serve on the Comprehensive Strategy Board with Judge Tom Lilly. I serve on the Behavioral Health Council with Judge James Hudson. I'm a member of the DWI Council. I serve on the Roswell Public Library Board of Trustees. I'm on the Historic Society for Southeast New Mexico Foundation Board, and I'm a graduate of Leadership Roswell. So I say all of that to say I'm invested in this community. I love this community, and I love this school district. I want what's best for the children of this school district. My friends and neighbors work for the school district. They have children in the school district. My children have families who live here. My grandbabies attend school in the school district. And I want what's best for all of our children. And when I say all, I mean all. And I've seen inequities happen over the years, and I want to fix that, because I believe that when you have a thriving school district, you have a thriving community. And we have talent, and we have expertise within our own community and with our own school district to get the job done. I believe that there are some important things that must happen that I would do as superintendent. The first thing that I would do is create a safe and supportive environment for our teachers and students. Our teachers need to feel safe coming to work, and our students need to feel safe coming to school. And I would implement accountability and clear discipline systems, behavior supports protocols that include trauma-informed learning, in an effort to begin recovery from the pandemic, which is going to be quite an undertaking. The first thing I would do is launch a community-wide attendance campaign, because it's going to take our community and our school district working together as a whole to get all of our kids back in school every day. And I'm talking about attending school every day, and I'm also talking about reaching out to those students that we've lost during the pandemic and creating an environment that they want to come back to and that we can engage them in learning. The third thing I would do is work to develop relational trust. We have to bring back trust in our school district, and I would do this by creating infrastructure and systems for communication. So I believe that our teachers and our staff are our innovators, and they're our problem solvers. They're our frontline workers, and they have solutions to problems that we don't always see, and we need to be willing to listen to their ideas and their strategies and take some risk and implement them. When you go through lots of change, as we have this past year during the pandemic, it creates stress in people. And when you go through lots of new initiatives and program changes, it causes initiative fatigue. And so our teachers need consistency, they need stability, and they need to be heard. Our community, we have a great community that is always so willing to support our school district, and we have talent within the community, and we need to engage our stakeholders from every area of our community, from every background, to problem solve and grow our district moving forward. And we have to have those infrastructures in place for communication. And then we need to include our students. We need our students' feedback. We need to hear their voices. We need to hear what's working with their learning, and we need to improve instruction for them based on the feedback that they're giving us. And again, that's students from all backgrounds and all levels. We need to, when I say all, I mean all. And last of all, we have to improve, I want to ensure that all of our students graduate college and career ready. And we do this by expanding our career technical programs, by expanding career exploration opportunities in the middle school and in the elementary school, by engaging economic development in our industries, Our industries need a workforce, and our students need to be able to graduate ready to step into high-wage, high-demand careers. And we've already begun that work, meeting with the industries. And we also need to ensure that our kids are ready for the rigors of college, and so we need to engage our community college and Gear Up and TRIO to ensure that those kids who are college-bound are ready for college and that they're successful when they get there. I am a proven results-driven leader. And I love this community, and I love this district, and I thank you for your time this afternoon.
Thank you, Ms. Paul.
Thank you.
We would like to welcome Mr. Porter Cottrell, Director of Career and Technical Education for Adams County School District in Commerce City, Colorado. As a candidate for the superintendent position for the Roswell Independent School District, Mr. Cottrell, you will have 10 minutes to share more about yourself and your interest in the role with the community. You will be given a one-minute warning before your time is up. Do you have any questions before you begin your introduction?
No, thank
Okay,
you very much.
you may begin.
Okay, good afternoon. I'm Porter Cottrell, and I'm grateful to have this opportunity to introduce myself to you. As a 1980 graduate of Goddard High School, I represent the endless possibilities our Roswell students have today. In my lifetime, I have been a student, teacher, coach, administrator, and parent in the Roswell schools. My life has been made up of choices and pathways, something that continues to fuel my passion for education. Following graduation from high school, I decided to attend Army ROTC basic training and then enroll at New Mexico Military Institute, where I played basketball, was a pre-med student, and also studied ROTC. But it was when I went to the ROTC basic camp where I met a recruiter, and he asked me a question that would stick with me for the rest of my life. He asked me, "Son, what are you going to do for us?" And I must have looked kind of perplexed because he said, let me rephrase that. What do you want to do for a living, and how can we help you get there? As I moved through my time at New Mexico Military, I thought about that. I went on to Eastern New Mexico in Portales. I completed my bachelor's degree and my master's degree there. I could always hear that in the back of my mind. What do you want to do for a living? Well, I wasn't really sure, but I was prepared to be a teacher and a coach because my parents were teachers. They were teachers here in the Roswell school system and coaches. But luckily, I was able to take a few years off and continue my basketball career, playing professional basketball overseas. I played in Chile, New Zealand, Australia, Finland, Even played here in the United States in the place Continental Basketball Association, and which is now the Developmental League. But after that, I came back here and I began the process of teaching and coaching. I was assistant coach at Roswell High, and I taught at Valley View. My coaching career moved me back to New Mexico Military Institute, where I was assistant coach for the junior college team, and then it moved me to Albuquerque, where I was assistant coach for University of New Mexico, and had the opportunity to win a WAC championship there and go play in the NCAA tournament. After that, our head coach, Dave Bliss, was given an opportunity to move to Baylor, and the rest of us, myself included, we were looking around. I decided to go to Denver and continue my teaching and coaching career there. So I did 14 years at a private Catholic school called Mullen High School. In about 2010, I decided to go back to school and get my administrative degree. So I'd been, quite a long time as a teacher and coach. Now I decided to go back into administration. I received my administrative degree, and I came back to New Mexico. I worked in Carrizozo and Alamogordo. And when you first get your administrative degree, you get an opportunity to speak with a lot of people who are a little bit disillusioned, I guess, with the public school system. And it really started making me go back to my time at basic training. And so I started using that same line to those students. What do you want to do for a living? How can I help you get there? We began to build career pathways and really sit down and say, well, you've got to take certain things, but let me also help add some different things into your curriculum that may also be something that you want to do for a living. I continued my education at Texas Tech, and I was working on my doctorate, and there was a concept kind of coming and sweeping across the country called early college high school. So I began to research early college high school, and early college high school is a combination of secondary school and post-secondary working together to allow the students to complete their high school diploma and their associate's degree all in 4 years. Worst case scenario, if they don't get their associate's degree, they still get a bunch of college credits directed in something that they're very interested in. Personalized education. We begin that process. I was able to move to Dexter as the Dexter principal. We built career pathways. We built the alliance with our post-secondary partner, Eastern New Mexico Roswell. And even though we were a ways away, we were able to bus people back and forth and really started to get some traction and excitement there. I was contracted to come to Roswell then as the Director of Alternative Education and build the early college high school here in Roswell, as well as run University High School. Because I believed in the concept of early college, we put that type of curriculum in both schools. And lo and behold, there was a lot of excitement in both places. School grade started to push up at University High, and discipline and all those type of things started going away. So the idea of personalizing education was really working, and career pathways is something that we really got excited about. That idea was able to help me become a superintendent of schools in Cloudcroft, and also now go to Denver and be the career technical education director there. The neat thing about Colorado is they've taken the early college high school model and boosted it up. I was able to learn about a new thing called PTech, Pathways in Technology Early College High School. The neat thing about that is it takes the secondary and post-secondary model and inserts the business partner in there as well. So it's a triangular support, and this has been amazing. While we tried to make business partners here, we get them there ahead of time, and we're able to create work-based learning opportunities, mentorship opportunities. Now the students really are able to step out and be college or career ready. They can step right into a career, or they can begin moving for a 4-year degree. And the really neat thing about that is with our association with the businesses has kind of shaped my idea of education, because they say that they have to create value for their customers. I mean, it seems basic, But, and not only do they have to create value, they have to create value, and their business is only successful insofar as they can create value for their customers continually over time. All right, so when we start thinking about this, we start thinking about our customers and what value can we create for them. You know, so again, when we meet them, what do you want to do for a living? How can we help you get there? Everybody wants to do kind of different things. My sister and I both went to the same high school, about 8-9 years apart, and it's funny, we have two definitely different career paths. We took the exact same classes from almost the exact same teachers. But now we can sit with them and we can tell people there is no better time to be a worker with special skills, and there's probably no worse time in the world to be a worker with just average or ordinary skills. So what are some quick wins that I think that we can bring here to Roswell? I think we can really leverage our partnership with the city, the businesses, and our post-secondary folks out there at ENMU Roswell, where we can seamlessly move back and forth between secondary and post-secondary. We can bring that idea all the way down to elementary and begin the idea with the teachers of, you know, why are we doing this? What is the ultimate outcome and the goal? And be able to start thinking about an idea of a diploma plus some type of certificates, plus some college credits, something along those lines right there. Continue to work, you know, everybody's had to be online, so continue to work with the online school and the blended learning type options, which really gives our teachers a chance to, you know, to kind of get their life back. You know, and as we look at our population, when we look at our biliteracy, our biliterate group, you know, let's push towards for a seal of biliteracy, you know, and have them be able to come together with that. Again, with our business partners, work-based learning, and mentorship opportunities, and you know, probably even look at maybe an education foundation for the Roswell schools. You know, I really believe that we can personalize education, and we can take the things that we could learn from our business partners and bring it together and really create something amazing. So that's kind of how I've gotten to where I am, and I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you about it and to talk to you a little bit more about my concept in the future.
Thank you, Mr. Cobb.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We would like to welcome Mr. Randall Earwood, the 8th grade science teacher from China Springs Independent School District, China Springs, Texas, as a candidate for the superintendent position for the Roswell Independent School District. Mr. Earwood, you will have 10 minutes to share more about yourself and your interest in the role with the community. You will be given a 1-minute warning before your time is up. Do you have any questions before you begin your introduction?
Nope, I'm ready.
Okay, you may begin, sir.
Okay, thank you. First of all, I'm honored to be here, and thank you for inviting me to introduce myself and talk a little bit about my experiences as an educator. Before I begin, I would like to do a shout out to my mom and dad, who has driven down from Berlin to be with me, to visit with me, and also a shout out to my brother Robin and my sister-in-law Michelle, who was gracious enough to let us stay at their house, and I know I've just embarrassed them, so that's fine. And a big shout out to my wife, Karen. She's been my soulmate and my partner for 40 years and been by my side, and without her, I wouldn't be where I am, and so I love you, Karen. Let me begin by just briefly explaining to you my educational background and experiences. I actually began my career here in Roswell. I was a 6th grade teacher at Monterey Elementary School. From there, I began my administrative experiences. I became a principal at a small K-12 school in Carrizozo. From there, I moved to Los Lunas, where I was an administrator in several capacities. I eventually moved to central office. I was the director of human resources and later was promoted to assistant superintendent of human resources. And then I took a position with Los Lunas as an assistant superintendent of technology. Then I moved to Las Cruces, New Mexico, and I was the director of HR for the Las Cruces district. And then I was fortunate enough to accept a superintendent job at Mesa Vista Schools in northern New Mexico, where I was superintendent for 3 years there. When Socorro superintendent job opened up, and I accepted that position, and I was superintendent with Socorro Schools for 5 years. So I have 8 years total experience as a superintendent and as a educational leader in a school district. Let me just talk about the times that we're in. You know, we're in unprecedented times with the COVID vaccine. And if you would have asked people 2-3 years ago what the future would hold, there was no one that foresaw what was coming. And in education, we have had to adapt rapidly in the way that we instruct our students. And not only our teachers and our administrators and our staff had to adapt, but our kids had to adapt. And sometimes we need to take a step back and realize the burden that has been placed on our teachers and our students. And I would just like to speak directly to our teachers out there. You truly are our frontline heroes. You are the ones that are expected to do extraordinary things in this time that is unprecedented. And I give you kudos, and I want you to know that as your superintendent, that I will do everything possible to lift the undue burdens that you guys are feeling, because I know you're feeling some pressure right now. And I want to come in and be able to work together with administrators, community, parents to create a positive culture so that teachers are not only going to work, but they want to go to work, and it's an enjoyable place to work. I'd also like to talk to our students because our students have been through just extraordinary times. Times that we can't even imagine as adults. If we look back on our childhood, and you imagine being placed out of the classroom, being put in front of a computer and expected to learn all that you need to learn, those are extraordinary times, and we need to be cognizant of the fact that our students have gone through so much. And in order to get our teachers and our students back to where we need to be, we need to create a culture that is inviting, a culture that is one that promotes a positive attitude, one that promotes high expectations, and one that promotes a willingness to be compassionate for where our teachers and our students have been. And I believe that because of my experiences that I have a lot of tools in my tool bag. And I believe that because of the God-given skills and the God-given talents that God has graciously given me, that I'm the right person to lead this district and create that type of environment. Finally, I'd like to talk to the parents. Parents, you have been through so much. We have expected you to be disciplinarians, which you already are, but we've expected you to become teachers. We've expected you to get onto your kids to get your assignments done, and we've expected you to go above and beyond with your kids at home. And I just want you to know that I appreciate you and that I'm going to do everything possible to take some of that burden off of you so that we can get your kids back to school and in-person learning in a positive way so that everyone, our teachers, our administrators, our staff, our students, our community can get back to normalcy because that's our goal. Finally, let me just tell you a little bit about myself personally. I have 3 beautiful children. I have 5 grandchildren who has been doing online learning, so I know exactly what these students are going through. I have 2 daughters who are teachers, so I know from a teacher's perspective, and I'm currently an 8th grade science teacher in Texas, and that gives me a unique perspective to see where teachers are coming from. I think because of that, it's been a gift that God has given me to be able to be an administrator, a superintendent, but then to go back into the classroom because I believe that sometimes as administrators, we have a tendency to lose sight of what our teachers are actually going through and what is expected of them. And so because of my experiences, I'm able to see that perspective and understand where our teachers are at. And I just want to tell you one more thing about myself and my personal life. I have some hobbies. I love to golf. I like to play golf. I love to hunt and fish. That's my passion. And I love to go camping with my wife and my kids. And so those are a few things that I like to do. I also want you to know that there's a number one thing in my life, and that is my faith in my Creator. And it's because of that faith that has enabled me to be successful as an educator, has enabled me to be successful in everything that I've done. And it helps me to be focused on what is really important, and that is our kids. And so I want you to know that every decision I make is based on the faith that I have in my Creator. And because of that, I make sound decisions. And I always put our kids first. And I pride myself on making every decision based on what is best for our kids. Now, sometimes those decisions aren't very popular with some people because they're thinking for themselves. But I want everyone to know that every decision I make will be student-based and what's best for students. And with that, I will go ahead and conclude.
Thank you very much,
Thank
sir.
you. Wait.
Have a good evening, and we'll see you tomorrow, sir.
Okay, thank you. Look forward to it.
We would like to welcome Mr. Brian Luck, the principal of Goddard High School for the Roswell Independent School District, as a candidate for the superintendent position for the Roswell Independent School District. Mr. Luck, you will have 10 minutes to share more about yourself and your interest in the role with the community. You will be given a 1-minute warning before your time is up. Do you have any questions before you begin your introduction?
I do not.
You may begin.
Awesome, thank you. Board President Morales, members of the Board of Education, anybody else watching today, first of all, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for taking the time to conduct such a thorough search. On behalf of the employees of the district and the community as well, thank you for looking and trying to do what's right for our kids. It's not always an easy job, and I do want to say thank you. I also want to congratulate the other candidates, because it's not always easy putting your name out there, and I want to wish them good luck as well. My name is Brian Luck. I am 49 years old. I was born in Portales, New Mexico. We moved to Roswell the fall of 1972 so that my mother could take a job at Del Norte Elementary School. I attended Washington Avenue Elementary School, Del Norte Elementary School. I went to Berendo Mid, and then graduated from Goddard High School in 1990. Had a wonderful opportunity to attend Eastern New Mexico University Roswell for 2 years. Pursued a degree on at South Plains Junior College, and had a little bit of a life-altering experience where I finally started listening to what was inside me and quit trying to force things. Went to Eastern New Mexico University in Portales and graduated in the fall of 1996 with my bachelor's in biology and minor in natural science, and pursued a job at Goddard High School. At Goddard High School, I taught general science, honors integrated science, biology, physical science, pretty much anything that they could have me teach up there. I was very fortunate and had an opportunity to coach. I coached basketball. I've coached softball. I even have a championship at a golf tournament for a one-day deal that I didn't really know how we did that, but I was very fortunate to get to do that with my kids. After the death of Mike Pomeroy, I was approached to help with supervision at games at Goddard High School. I guess something stuck and kind of lit a spark, and continue to tell Fred Pomeroy that every time I see him that there's still good going on there. I received my master's in education administration from Grand Canyon University, and took an assistant principalship at Goddard High School. In the fall of 2011, I was offered the opportunity to be interim principal at Berendo Middle School. Did that for the remainder of that school year, and then over to Goddard High School as principal. And I've been at Goddard High School for give or take about the last 9 years as the principal. It has been my pleasure to be a member of the district. This has been the only district that I've worked for, and I am okay with that. I'm very happy. I feel very blessed. There's a fine group of people that work in our district, and they should be commended. On a personal note, I have been married for just about 22 years to my wife, Shelby. I have a 15-year-old daughter, Addison, who attends Goddard High School. I have a 12-year-old son, Aiden, that attends Berendo Middle School. And as I said a minute ago, I come from a family of educators. My mother retired after working at only one school for give or take about 35 years. I have 3 aunts that were all teachers, and they all have at least one child that was a teacher as well. So I've grown up with listening to the good, the bad, and the ebb and flow of the school year, and it's kind of helped shape where I'm at right now. In my spare time, I picked up some hobbies this year. I've recently become a basketball official because I guess my current job wasn't stressful enough. Have enjoyed every minute of it, getting to know the kids on a different level and to reconnect with my roots as such, and I do thoroughly enjoy that. I have volunteered at the Yucca Center as a basketball coach for the past 7 years, and I do help coach baseball at New Knop Little League. In the last 24 years, I've had an opportunity to work with some of the finest educators that there are. And at the risk of leaving anybody out, I won't begin to start telling you some of the names. That doesn't mean that I've always agreed with what they've said or what they've did, but that did give me an opportunity to learn and to take from those people and to let it help shape what I would like to see and how I would like things to run. Because I do believe, in mostly from my training, that you try to find the good in what's going on, and that if you stay with the good, that'll usually lead you in the right direction. As part of the RISD community as well, I've seen the best of times and I've seen the worst of times. I've been carried off the stage by seniors who didn't think that they were going to graduate and met me with a hug as we were walking off the stage, and we just kept going. And I've also had to sit with students that didn't make it, or even more worse times where we lost kids. I can remember walking through those times saying to myself, there's got to be a reason for this, that I was brought to this place and at this time. And I've tried very hard to just keep my eyes open and to let that nurture and grow who I am as a person and who I am as an educator. And I do feel like that quality could serve me well. I want to thank you again for your time, and I just appreciate this very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Leck. Have a great evening, and we'll see you tomorrow. We would like to welcome Mrs. Mireya Trujillo, Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources of the Roswell Independent School District, as a candidate for the superintendent position for the Roswell Independent School District. Mrs. Trujillo, you will have 10 minutes to share more about yourself and your interest in the role with the community. You will be given a 1-minute warning before your time is up. Do you have any questions before you begin your introduction?
No.
Okay, you may begin.
Good afternoon, members of the school board and the Roswell community. I'm Mireya Trujillo, and I'm grateful for your consideration of my candidacy for the Roswell Independent School District superintendent position. For more than 25 years, I have been committed to fostering the success of the Roswell Independent School District. Through my personal background and my professional experience, I understand the diversity of our community and bring a multi-angled perspective as superintendent. I am a second language learner, a wife and mother, a business owner, a community leader, and an educator. Currently, I serve the district as the Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources. Buenas tardes, miembros de la mesa directiva escolar y la comunidad de Roswell. Yo soy Mireya Trujillo y agradezco la oportunidad de la candidatura para superintendente de las escuelas de Roswell. Soy hija de padres inmigrantes y nacida en México. Mi primer idioma es el español y reconozco el valor de la educación. Con gusto me presento ante ustedes y espero que me brinden su apoyo para servirles como superintendente. From parent to teacher and school to district level administrator, my standard for excellence has served as a core value in implementing system improvement measures, resulting in a proven record of success. I'm the mother of 3 children who were raised and educated in Roswell schools. They received the benefit of a great education from amazing staff, and I am so thankful. Our family roots in this community run deep, and they can be traced to the Hondo Valley since the 1840s. In 1949, our grandparents were entrepreneurs opening El Charro Mexican Foods, a tortilleria and Mexican food factory, now in its 4th generation. We hope that you've tried our party tostadas and tamales. My family and I, my family and I appreciate the rich culture of this community and have helped represent the multicultural flavor of Roswell. We are a part of this community through the jobs and foods our business provides, the cultural celebrations that we have sponsored and participated in, and the multi-generational military service that my family has proudly contributed. I am indebted to this community for the support that it has provided us during the greatest times of need, such as my husband's deployment to Kuwait and Iraq, and the rebuilding of our business after a devastating fire. I have been blessed to receive the best that this community has to offer and fortunate to give back through civic service and educational leadership. One of my core values is grounded in servant leadership to my community. I am an active volunteer and have served on numerous professional and civic organizations, including Eastern New Mexico University Roswell, the Community College Board, where I currently serve as the president, Character Counts of Chaves County, where I currently serve as vice president, the American Legion Auxiliary, the United Way of Chaves County, having served as co-chair, just to name a few. I received a bachelor's degree in education and a master's degree in bilingual education from Eastern New Mexico University. I also completed my administrative coursework through them. I currently hold New Mexico licenses in the following areas: the pre-K through 12 administrative license, instructional leaders K through 12 specialty area license, and instructional leader K through 8 elementary license. In addition to my current position as Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources, I have also served the Roswell Independent School District for over 25 years in other capacities, including as Director of Professional Development, Director of Human Resources, Principal at Sunset Elementary, Dean of Students at Mesa Middle School, and as teacher at East Grand Plains Elementary. I was also an instructor at New Mexico Junior College in Hobbs, New Mexico. As you see, my experience spans from early childhood through college level. I am a leader in instruction and curriculum, and I'm experienced in general and bilingual education. As a teacher, I piloted the dual language program with great success. The children that I served were able to outperform their peers by 3rd grade at the district and state level in English and in Spanish. As a principal, I led a high-need school through purposeful change. Using strategic school improvement strategies, I was able to move my school from failing grades up to a B. I have a strong background in data analysis, and I use my adaptive leadership skills to get results. The systems that I implemented in leading school improvement became the standard that the state used as a model. With my proven record as a leader, having completed both the PPE leadership program as the first cohort and the University of Virginia leadership program, I have been able to share my expertise and experience working as a leadership coach, mentoring administrators in various New Mexico PED initiatives, such as the Principals Pursuing Excellence and the RAMS mentoring program, where I have provided professional coaching and mentoring to various New Mexico principals and a superintendent. As a district level administrator, I am committed to excellence. I have streamlined and implemented efficient practices using technology and best practices to help departments improve their systems. I helped launch a professional development platform, created a comprehensive mentorship program for teachers, engaged innovative recruitment practices with community partners, and implemented a system for essential trainings, including safety and skill-based trainings. I am highly skilled in the principles of human resources and personnel management. I have collaborated with stakeholders, refining the onboarding process for new employees, and have created a system for feedback to help with continuous improvement in our district. I understand how to leverage strengths, and I value the importance of using interpersonal and team-building skills to promote a positive culture and growth mindset in the organization. I value community partnerships and how great things can happen when we come together. One example, and one of my fondest accomplishments, was partnering with dozens of organizations, law enforcement agencies, schools, and performance groups of many genres for the Red Ribbon Character Counts community celebration. In recent times, we have faced numerous challenges due to the pandemic, from families struggling to support their children with the changing world around them, to teachers who have had to adapt their teaching skills through ever-changing models of instruction. Together, we will embrace these challenges as opportunities to learn how to help students with learning loss, how to celebrate teacher creativity and innovation, and family resilience as we emerge a stronger community by working together. Challenging times call for bold leadership. I have the proven collaborative leadership and the professional expertise required to lead our school community from the pandemic-related challenges into carefully cultivated growth. I am bilingual and biliterate, a creative and visionary thinker. I am data-based and results-driven. I have a strong background in data analysis, curriculum, and instruction. I'm experienced in grant writing and administration, I have broad experience in providing professional coaching, mentoring, and training at multiple levels, and strategic and entrepreneurial insight. My accomplishments demonstrate my ability to put theory and research into action. As a devoted teacher, I educated a broad spectrum of students, beginning with the youngest of our children at the kindergarten level to those in higher education at the college level. Being a part of the wonder of childhood and the magic of learning at all ages has helped to shape me into being a better parent, neighbor, community member, and leader. Recently, I became a grandparent, and I have learned to love with wisdom without the pressure of discipline. I'm sure some of you can relate to that. With that in mind, I want to make sure that my grandson receives instruction with care, education with compassion, and lessons that feed his intelligence while nurturing his spirit. I want this for your children and for your grandchildren too. Durante los pasados 25 años, he tenido el honor de ser maestra, directora y administradora en nuestro distrito escolar. Hoy en día soy superintendente asistente de recursos humanos. Mi esposo Michael y yo somos dueños de la tortillería El Charro. Soy presidenta de la mesa directiva de la Universidad ENMU Roswell. Tengo 2 hijas y un hijo que recibieron su educación en las escuelas de Roswell. Recientemente nació mi primer nieto, así que también soy abuelita. Aprendí a amar con sabiduría, pero sin la presión de la disciplina. Estoy segura que algunos de ustedes también conocen este gusto. De hecho, quiero asegurarme que mi nieto tiene una buena educación que alimenta su inteligencia mientras nutre su espíritu. Quiero el igual para los hijos y nietos suyos también. Por estas razones deseo servirles como superintendenta, pero que juntos podamos realizar estas metas. Muchas gracias por su atención y apoyo. I want to extend my appreciation to the Board of Education and the community for your consideration. If selected as superintendent, I will collaborate with school members, school staff and leadership, community partners to support our members in our learning community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hill. Have a good evening, and we'll see you tomorrow.
I think I should have taken the water.